Hei og velkommen tilbake. Håper dere har utnyttet tiden godt. Den drøye halvtimen. Vi hadde en pause. Vi har et tettpakket, og jeg må få si det selv, et veldig kult program. Den siste halvdelen. Vi skal treffe en tidligere bauta som har vært utenriksminister for Tyskland. Vi skal diskutere med fagforeninger. Endelig så skal jeg få sette meg ned og portrettintervjue noen, som skal ha den nye olje- og energiministeren på scenen. Så da skal vi ha en liten halvtime Skavlan her oppe, som jeg gleder meg veldig til. Men nok om det, la oss bare komme i gang, for vi har som sagt et tettpakket program. Det er masse som skal skje. Når vi reiser rundt i Europa, som vi nå er i gang med igjen, så er mange ting forskjellige og i denne bransjen. Men noen ting er identiske. Bekymring over høy strømregning rundt middagsbordet eller bransjens ambisjoner om et grønt skifte er ikke særnorske trekk. I Europas største energimarked, Tyskland, går debattene høyt. Både i private heimer og på møterommene og blant politikerne. De siste vekene har diskusjonene fått et dystert bakteppe av krig og energikrise. Hva tenker tysk industri? Hvordan skal de nå ambisiøse klimamål? Hvordan skal nettopp samarbeid være en del av løsningen også i Tyskland og Europa? Klarer tysk energibransje å omstille seg enda en gang? Vi har vært på besøk i Tyskland. Se på dette.
Well, actually, 15 years ago or so, there was this feeling here. We do some kind of German energy vendor, and when we are ready, we open the windows and tell everybody, look at us. Yeah? But thanks God that changed, because we nowadays understand that we are only part of a much bigger game. We are part of the European Union, and there are global perspectives we have to follow up and watch carefully.
In these days, of course, we're all suffering from very high energy prices, gas-wise, electricity-wise. CO2 prices have increased over the past month. So in these days, and we just did a survey a couple of days ago among medium-sized companies, they feel a strong pressure in international terms as they can't really pass on the higher prices in their product prices. And in climate terms, we're, I think, in a position of really realizing that the energy transformation is a broad and long-term issue, that all the stakeholders and branches have to be involved. At the very beginning of what we call Energiewende, the energy transformation, that was an exercise that was mostly concentrated on the electricity system. And now I think all the other sectors, the transport sector, heating sector, and manufacturing industries got more into the focus, so it's a broader exercise, and we realized that it is a big one.
Energy for Climate started in January this year, and we are a big agency from the Ministry of Economic Affairs here in North Rhine-Westphalia, and we are totally funded by them. So in For Climate, we are working directly with our industry in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have working groups established with them on the big topics like hydrogen, process heat, circular economy, but also on the not technical issues like political framework and the narrative we have to talk about. And in these working groups, we connect our industry with the scientific competence network, SI for Climate, which consists of big institutes here in North Rhine-Westphalia, like Wuppertal Institute, Fraunhofer Umsicht, RWTH Aachen. And in these working groups are also politicians. So we have the Ministry of Economic Affairs. They are working with us directly. So we bring all the parties together to show how can there be the way to climate neutrality for industry, which technologies are important, and in the next step, what do the industry need from politics?
I believe that the increase in green molecules, in green hydrogen, green fuels, is important, but will not have the same speed as the demand probably will have. So there is room also for other colors of hydrogen, other carbon footprints, blue hydrogen, turquoise hydrogen, as we call it sometimes, at least for some time in between. I don't see that, at least in Germany, government will be willing to support and subsidize these ways of hydrogen, at least for the time being. This discussion is just a lively one in these days. But they already said that they will accept imports of blue hydrogen as well. And when it comes to CCUS for industries as cement, maybe paper industry, I don't see many technical alternatives. And I see the public acceptance issues that we have in Germany with the storage of CO2. So this is, I think, again, a good example of cooperation, of international cooperation of countries, of economies. And that's why I think the developments in Norway offshore to store CO2 are very relevant and interesting for us. What is missing is a German CO2 strategy, really, maybe also parts of the legal framework. But at least new government has announced to deal with this in the next 4 years.
If I look back on energy transition, I see like every 5 years something new is happening. New perspectives, new innovation, new technologies. And we have to be open for those developments, and those developments normally help us reaching our targets. So that is what I'm hoping for. And hydrogen, for example, is one of these things nobody was talking about 5 years ago. There is a huge discussion going on in Germany. So how much hydrogen do we have to use? How much can we produce in Germany? How much can we import? What about the global market? In what kind of sectors do we use it? Will it only be the green hydrogen produced in electrolyzers, or will it also be the blue one from natural gas and all these things? So there's huge discussions going on. But all big studies we had over the past years show that there's a pretty huge amount of hydrogen we need, but also power fuels. That is like derivatives based on hydrogen. We call them power fuels. We have a global alliance of power fuels with lots of companies, and we are looking in all these fields. So I think the role will be very important, and I'm also more optimistic than many other people in Germany.
As the time until 2045, when Germany wants to get climate neutral, is just short. We know a lot of technologies, but we just have to do it now. And to really reach these ambitious targets, we have to start immediately.
I think we can really change here in North Rhine-Westphalia the industry with the industry together, so they can go forward to climate neutral technologies, and they want to go forward.
As you know, 30% of natural gas coming from Norway, and I don't know, 10% or so oil from Norway for us in Germany, and in 22 years is not such a long time. So if you think you can stay in your business and not change, then you should worry, because we really want to reach our targets. It might take a few years longer, but we really want to reach our targets. And so you should think about different ideas, but I know that you do, and that is what makes me positive here as well, as our companies do. I mean, have a look at RWE, E.ON, Vattenfall, and so on. They were so different 10, 15 years ago. They changed. I don't know about their perspectives here. We will see. And that will also be true for companies from Norway, I guess. And
Takk til Tyskland. Our next speaker was elected to the German Bundestag for the Green Party as early as 1983. He was one of the most prolific German politicians in Gerhard Schröder's government, where he served as foreign minister and vice chancellor. During his time in Schröder's government, he was a constant critic of Vladimir Putin and defender of Ukrainian democracy. On February 24th, when Russia invaded Ukraine, he published an article, a comment saying, and I quote, "By invading Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin is challenging not only that country's independence, but also the broader European system, which rests above all on the inviolability of borders and the law of nations. There has been no comparable event in Europe since the Hitler era." Please welcome on stage Herr Joschka Fischer.